about your decision to join Special Forces. She said, we'll just see if his skills are as good as his ego. What do you say back to that?
Well, I just take it for a word. Yeah. Or my skills as big as my ego. I don't know. It was a funny thing. I didn't feel like there was ego flowing through that experience, Johnny. Not me, not you, not our peers. There wasn't ego. There was us all trying to survive together.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a busy couple of weeks with Kody Brown-Woolley's book release, Meri Brown making the podcast rounds, and Cody Brown promoting not just one, but two shows at the same time. Even though Cody almost never does press for sister wives and usually leaves all the promotion to his ex-wives, mostly Christine and Janelle last season, he's suddenly walking red carpets. While there, he's answering questions about special forces, but reporters are also sneaking in sister wives' questions. So, it's kind of a 2-for-1 situation. Meanwhile, Meri recently appeared on the I Do Part 2 podcast, where she opened up about Cody and where she feels he's really falling short in life. On the surface, Cody projects this big, confident persona in the media. He sees himself as famous and important. And maybe, to some extent, he is. But back at home, he can't escape the reality that he's basically abandoned many of his kids. Meri pointed out in that podcast that Cody has ignored several of his children and refuses to speak to the ones who actually want a relationship with him. This, of course, comes after he publicly said he wanted to repair things with his kids. If I had to guess, Cody's reasoning would be that his kids criticize him online, he can't trust them, or they're not showing him what he calls the cloak of charity. He blames them or Robyn for the tension. No matter what, he always seems to find an excuse not to talk to them. But here's what Meri had to say about Cody as a father.
There are things that I think that he did better in his younger years than he does now.
Like what?
Parenting. Parenting is a big one. The way that he parents breaks my heart. It really does. He's got children who need him and want to have a relationship with him, and he's not putting in the, I can't say he's not, but I don't see effort being put in where some of his kids really need it. And knowing him as a young dad, I mean, he was all about his kids, and like they were his world. And so it's really sad to see the challenges that he and his kids are going through right now.
Cody has a lot of kids he refuses to speak to, and the reasons vary. Some of them have spoken publicly about him, and he doesn't like what they've said. But in Meri's case, the reason he won't talk to Leon is because they're transgender. Leon has openly transitioned, identifies as non-binary, uses they/them pronouns, and goes by the name Leon. From the moment this became public, Meri has been completely supportive of Leon in every way. Something that hasn't really been talked about on the show, but that I learned from a friend of Meri's, is that when Leon came out and transitioned, Cody, Robyn, and even Robyn's daughters mocked Leon. They called them names and claimed they didn't know this person, insisting that Leon wasn't the child Cody raised. They didn't agree with Leon's choices, didn't want to support it, and refused to be around it. At that time, Robyn even went as far as calling Leon evil, while some of the girls were reportedly cruel about the transition. This later got reported in The Sun, but it hasn't been shown on the series, likely because Leon no longer wants to appear on the show, and Meri respects their privacy. From what I've heard, this was one of the final straws for Meri in cutting ties with Cody and Robyn, their treatment of Leon and their refusal to acknowledge or support them. There's a lot of misinformation and stigma surrounding gender dysphoria and people who transition, and unfortunately, it's still seen as controversial by many. Often, those who transition are vilified. But Meri's perspective is simple. She just wanted to support her child unconditionally. That says a lot about her love and dedication as a parent. I can only imagine how devastating those cruel messages were for Leon, and I respect Meri for protecting their privacy. For many, this situation really highlights the cruelty of Cody. Honestly, I can't imagine treating anyone that way, no matter what my personal views might be. To me, being a parent means unconditional love, loving your child no matter what. That's something Cody doesn't seem to practice. Beyond Leon, Cody has distanced himself from other kids too. For example, Gwendolyn has been shunned and shamed for her sexuality and for marrying BIA, who is now transitioning to Ben and goes by Ben. It's heartbreaking, especially in a culture where so many still refuse to understand or accept that, at the end of the day, people are just people. That's part of what Meri was pointing out when she called out Kody's parenting. On top of that, Kody also neglects his children with Christine, and of course, there's the situation with Janelle's kids. Janelle lost a son, yet there's still been no reconciliation between her family and Kody. I keep asking myself, how can Kody walk red carpets, promote shows, and act like he's thriving when he has almost no relationship with his kids? And on top of all that, reporters confronted him about Christine's book while he was on the red carpet. He tried to play it cool, but you could tell he was agitated. His jaw was tight, he was shaking his head, and you could sense the frustration under the surface. Check this out.
How do you feel about people watching, like your exes watching and things like that?
I don't expect them to watch.
Did you read Christine's book at all?
Congratulations on the book. Please tune in to Sister Wives, Sunday nights at 9 on TLC, starting September 28th.
I'm sure Kody doesn't enjoy answering Sister Wives questions while he's trying to promote Special Forces, but since both shows are coming out at the same time, reporters are obviously going to ask. They want quotes and sound bites to cover both. If you know Kody, you know he likes to control the narrative. That's why he gets so tense during tell-all specials. He can't control what gets asked. I think that's also why he rarely does interviews like these. During this one, it was clear he didn't like the question. He clenched his jaw, shook his head, and gave this intimidating stare that almost seemed meant to shut the reporter down. And that's kind of his pattern. He stares people down and makes these looks to show his displeasure. Throughout these interviews, he's done a lot of explaining away, blaming others for why people don't like him, why his cast members are upset with him, and making excuses for his behavior. Interestingly, the only person on the red carpet with him was Johnny Manziel, who also has a controversial past. Back in 2016, Johnny was arrested for hitting a girlfriend and charged with misdemeanor domestic violence. Those charges were later dismissed after he completed classes, but he's had other issues too, multiple suspensions in the NFL, substance abuse struggles, and more. So, it's not all that surprising that he and Kody ended up side by side on the carpet. Maybe they both had tension with other cast members, who knows. But in another interview, Kody admitted something else. He faked illnesses to get relief during Special Forces, so the instructors wouldn't push him as hard. Check this out.
Standing, and I've been in this water, and I started to shiver. My teeth started, and I don't want the DS seeing that. I don't want them seeing any signs of weakness because they'll play on that. But I do remember when we had been just run ragged, me wheezing, and it was a little bit fake because I figured if they thought I was really working hard, they wouldn't try to push me more, and I might need some energy for later. So I'm sitting there doing press-ups, and I'm like,
That actually reminded me of when Kody had COVID and claimed he almost died even though his fever was only 99.7. He was outside on the patio, describing it as a near-death experience, and then later got into that huge fight with Christine, acting like being curled up on the floor was proof he'd nearly passed away. To me, he's always been so dramatic about everything. During his recent interviews, he kept saying the show was trying to kill him and made it sound like the point was to push them to death. But honestly, that's not what Special Forces is about. Yes, it's intense, and yes, they push participants to their limits. But this is a TV set. They have safety teams to make sure no one gets seriously injured. There's no way the network would risk someone dying during filming. So, the way Kody describes it is just overly dramatic. What's even more striking is that Kody has 3 sons who've gone through actual basic training in the military. One of them, Hunter, is now an officer in the Air Force. And yet, you don't hear his sons complaining or whining about their training. They serve this country with honor, discipline, and without complaint. Meanwhile, Kody's acting like a reality show nearly broke him. To me, it feels like he's still competing with his sons, maybe even resentful because they hold him accountable. Gabriel said last season that he was raised to be a gentleman, to be respectful, and to live with integrity, but that nothing Kody does now reflects that. Kody's not living up to the values he expected from his sons, and maybe he just doesn't like that mirror being held up to him. For the record, Kody insists he's not dating anyone, that he's staying committed to Robyn. But overall, here's the pattern. He admits to faking illnesses to get out of challenges, admits to manipulating situations, gets angry when Christine is brought up, and meanwhile, Meri calls him out for still neglecting his kids. And even when some of them want a relationship, he continues to shut them out. At the end of the day, he can show up for public events and act like he's thriving, but if he can't even manage his own family or be present for the children he chose to bring into this world, after always claiming that being a father was his biggest purpose, then honestly, that's failure. That's just my opinion, but it breaks my heart for his kids. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching.